Hi everyone, Donna Log Cabin Stitcher here, and lately I've been making headbands. These are made out of super bulky yarn, the number 6 yarn, and they work up really quick. They are really wide in the front, and then in the back they get narrower. See how narrow that is? And then that way you don't have that bulk in the back of your neck. But you could also wear, if you have a pretty little button that you can put on there, you could wear that to the side of your head or maybe even to the front. So I am going to show you how to make this quick, bulky headband. So these are some of the headbands that I've recently made, and it is a number 6 bulky white yarn, and it takes less than 100 yards, and then you need a size J crochet hook, which I will be using this one right here. I get these at Hobby Lobby, and today I'm going to use like I said, number 6 bulky yarn, and this is 131 yards, so I will get 2 out of this skein. And this is by Loops and Thread, Copenhagen. And then find yourself some pretty little buttons to match. I went through my buttons and I found some brown buttons to match this yarn. You need like an inch to inch and a half button to make this, so get your supplies and we'll get started. Okay, so this is still the Copenhagen yarn. I got it on clearance at Michael's, and I don't know the color of this yarn. It just had this wrapped around it, so I'm not sure of the color, but it is the number 6 bulky, and that's what we're going to use. Okay, so just start with a slip knot, and then we are going to chain 5, and then that second chain right there from the hook, we're going to do a single crochet, and we're going to do that all the way across in each stitch. Okay, so you will have 4 single crochets across the row, and then you're going to chain 3. Now, depending on how big your button is, excuse me, you can either do double crochets across this row or you can do trebles. Now, this is the button I'm going to be using. So it's a little bit bigger, so I'm going to do treble crochets across this row. So this is our first stitch. So in this next stitch, I'm going to do a treble crochet. And then in the next stitch, I'm going to do a treble crochet. And then the top of our chain 2, I'm going to do a treble crochet. Okay, so counting that first chain 3, we should have 4 treble crochets. And then I'm going to chain 2. Okay, now we're going to switch to half double crochet. So here's my first stitch. So in the second one, I'm going to do a half double crochet, and then the next one a half double crochet, and then the top of the chain 2, I'm going to do a half double crochet. Okay, so again we will have 4 stitches across the row. Okay, now this row we're going to increase, so I'm going to chain 2. And then in that same stitch, I'm going to do a half double crochet, and then a half double crochet in the next stitch, one in the next stitch, actually two in the next stitch. So one, and then I'm going to go right back in that same space and do another one. And then the top of our chain two, I'm going to do a half double crochet. Alright, so now we should have, including our chain two, we should have 6 stitches across the row. Right, so now I'm going to chain two. Sorry about that, I had to get some more yarn. So anyway, chain two, and I'm turning. So we're going to do half double crochet across the row. So here's my first stitch. So in this next one, I'm going to do a half double crochet. In the next one, next one, okay, and then the top of my chain two, I'm going to do a half double crochet. So we should still have 6 half double crochets, including our chain two. So chain two, turn. Okay, now we're going to increase again. So in the same stitch right here, I'm going to do a half double crochet. And then half double crochet in the next 3 stitches. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then in this one right here, it's hard to see, but we're going to do 2 into that same stitch. And then the top of our chain two, we're going to do a half double crochet. Okay, so now we should have 8 stitches across the row, including our chain two. So I'm going to chain two, and I'm just going to half double crochet in each stitch. So here is our first stitch right here. So in this next one, do a half double crochet, and just do that all the way across. And then a half double crochet in the top of our chain two. Okay, so we should still have 8 half double crochets across the row. Okay, so now at this point, you can stop here if you want, if you think that's wide enough. We're also going to do a single crochet all the way around it, so that'll make it a little wider yet. But I am going to increase one more time. So I'm going to chain two, and in that same stitch, I'm going to do a half double crochet, and then do that all the way across. Okay, and then when I get to my last stitch before my chain two, I'm going to do 2 half double crochets in that stitch. And then I'm going to do a half double crochet in the top of my chain two. Okay, so now we have 10 stitches across the row. Okay, at this point I'd like to take a stitch marker and just put it anywhere on this row right here, because this is my first row of 10 stitches, and we're just going to repeat this now for the next 23 rows. So chain two, and turn. And then here's our first stitch, so we're just going to half double crochet all the way across. So I'm going to start right here in this one. I'm just half double crocheting across, and this is my last stitch before my chain 2, and sometimes it's just a little bit hard to get into that one, but it'll work. And then do a half double crochet. Don't forget that top of that chain 2, do a half double crochet in that one. Okay, so you'll still have 10 stitches. Okay, so you just want to repeat this row for 23 rows. So here was my first row, and that was my second row. So just keep going until you have about 23 rows of the 10 half double crochets. Okay, so from my stitch marker, I have done actually 25 rows of half double crochet, 10 stitches across. You can stop at 23 if you are a loose crocheter. I crochet kind of tight, so I did 25. Also, it depends on maybe the size of your head. If you have a pretty normal size head, you want to maybe stop at 23. My head's a little bigger, so I did 25. Also, maybe if they have a lot of hair, you could do some more rows, but this is where it's kind of adjustable right here. If you want to do 21, 22, 23 rows, just however many will fit around their head. Okay, so next row we're going to do a decrease row, so I'm going to chain 2 and turn, and then in my next stitch right here I'm going to bring up a loop and yarn over, go into my next stitch and bring up a loop, and then I'm going to go through all 5 of those loops. So we just made 2 half double crochets into one. Alright, so now I'm going to half double crochet across the row. Okay, when I get to the last 2 stitches before my chain 2, I'm going to decrease again. I'm going to pull up a loop. I'm going to yarn over and go in the next stitch and pull up a loop. And I'm going to go through all 5. And then I'm going to do a half double crochet in the last stitch. So now we should have 8 half double crochets. So I'm going to chain 2, turn, and now I'm just going to do a half double crochet in each stitch across the row. So here's my first stitch, so the second one, half double crochet, so you should have 8 stitches across the row. Okay, and that includes your chain 2. So I'm going to chain 2, turn. Okay, now I'm going to decrease again. So in this stitch right here, I'm going to pull up a loop, yarn over, go in our next one, pull up a loop, and pull through all 5. I'm going to half double crochet, and then when I get to those last 2 before my chain 2, I'll pull up the loop, pull up a loop in the next stitch and go through all 5, and then do a half double crochet in that last chain 2. Alright, so now we'll have 6 stitches across the row. If you hear sizzling in the background, I'm cooking supper while I do this. So next row we are going to chain 2 and turn. So we're just going to half double crochet in each stitch across the row. So we will have our 6 stitches. Then I am going to chain 2 and turn, and we're going to decrease one more time. So yarn over that first stitch, bring up a loop, yarn over in the next stitch, bring up a loop, and pull through all 5. And then same thing, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull up a loop in the next stitch, pull through all 5. Then half double crochet in that last stitch. So we are down to 4 stitches. So I am going to chain 2, and I'm going to do a half double crochet in each stitch. Here's my first stitch. So in this next one, 1, 2, 3, on top of that chain 2, half double crochet. So we will have 4 stitches. Okay, I'm going to chain 2 and turn. Okay, I'm going to do one more row of half double crochet across the row. Here's my first stitch, this next one. 1, 2, then half double crochet in the top of your chain 2. Alright, so now I'm going to chain 1. Now down this edge right here, I'm going to start doing single crochets. So just kind of right in here, wherever you can find a spot along the edge. Just do a single crochet. Okay, so like that. So just do that all the way along the edge, and when you get to this corner here, I'll meet back up with you. Okay, so I'm coming up to the corner. So in this corner stitch right here, I'm going to do 3 single crochets in that same corner stitch. That way it kind of turns the corner there for you. And I'm going to do single crochet across the edge here. And then in this corner here, and I'm crocheting across my tail where I started. So in this corner, I'm also going to do 3 single crochets. So that kind of turns that corner. And then I'm going to just start single crocheting along this edge again. So that's how that looks. And then just single crochet all along this edge. Okay, so I'm coming to the end of this row. So in this last stitch right here, just somewhere in here, Don't do a single crochet, just pull your thread through, just do a slip stitch. And then cut your yarn. And just pull that tail through. Pull it tight. And you can turn it over, and then you can take this end and just weave it in along the edge here. Okay, so our little headband is all crocheted. So you want to find the right side. This is the wrong side. So you can look at the stitches there and you can tell this is the right side. So you just want to fold it over so our right side is showing. And then here's where we did our long stitches, either double crochet or treble. So our button will fit through there. So just get your pretty little button. This is the one I'm going to use. And we're going to stitch it on this end so then we can button it through there. Then you need, what I did is I took my yarn and I cut about a 6 or 8 inch length. And then I split it. So I have one strand here. And then you can use a tapestry needle, small needle with a large eye, so you can fit your yarn through there. And the main thing is you want to be able to get it through the hole in your button, whatever button you're using. You want to be able to get it through there. So start from the back, bring your yarn up. I'm going to feed it through my button. And I'm leaving a tail back here. And I'm going to go back down. And I'm going to do that one more time. Bring my needle up through there. Feed it through my button. Pull it tight. And then feed it back down through. Okay, so there's my button. And on the back side, I'm going to tie these ends together in a knot. That. And then I'll just take these ends and I'll just weave them in back here on the back side. Okay, so we're all done. So you can just take it and button it up. And there it is. You can take your scraps, whatever scraps you have left. I keep mine in a plastic bag. It says number 6 bulky, and I have some for number 5 bulky and number 4. Just put your scraps in your little bag, and then when you have enough, you could make maybe a scrappy headband, or you could make my little, this is my go-to super bulky crochet hat. So either one of those would work up really quick. You can do this project in an hour or 2, just depending on how fast you crochet. But there you go. Thank you so much for watching and subscribing, and I will be back soon. So if you heard all the crackling in the background, this is what I was making for supper, fish. My husband loves fish, so I'm making him some fish and some potatoes.